Okay, so here's the thing we're not considering.
Okay.
We're always like, Selena can't be the best assassin. What if all the other assassins legitimately suck?
All right. Practically no time for us, but surely a day for everyone else. Thank you for your patience. On the edge of your seats to find out what happened.
I'm sure.
Selena wasn't nervous. She had nothing, absolutely nothing, to be worried about. It was just a dinner. A dinner she'd spent weeks arranging whenever she had a spare moment while spying on those men in Rifthold.
But they never ever mention it.
Yeah.
They never give us any clue of what's coming up until, this is happening, yippee! I've been planning it for months. Not that we'd ever know.
Yeah. A dinner at which she'd be alone with Kale. And after last night's ellipsis, Selena took a surprisingly shaky breath and checked herself in the mirror. One last time. The dress was pale blue, so passive, almost white, and encrusted with crystal beading. Encrusted?
Crusty-ass dress.
Yeah, that made the fabric look like the shimmering surface of the sea. Perhaps it was a bit much, but she'd told Kale to dress well, so hopefully he'd be wearing something nice enough to make her feel less self-conscious. What kind of pencil are you looking for?
Man, all of them.
That's what it sounds like.
I know, I'm literally like, should I tell her to pause so I can finish shuffling around in my pencil box? Then I decided I wouldn't, so...
Selena huffed, gods above. She was feeling self-conscious, wasn't she? Wow, she got to it eventually. It was ridiculous, really. It was just a dinner. Fleetfoot was with Nehemia for the night, and and if she didn't leave now, she'd be late. Refusing to let herself sweat another second longer, Selena grabbed her ermine coat from where Philippa had left it on the ottoman in the center of her dressing room. That in paragraphs all one sentence. When she reached the entrance hall, Kale was already waiting for her by the doors. Even from across the massive space, she could tell his eyes were on her as she descended the stairs. Not surprisingly, he wore black, but at least it wasn't his uniform.
As he looked at me,
and I looked at him,
and he looked at me, and I looked at him. That's how she could tell that he was watching her from across the room.
Yeah. No, his tunic and pants looked to be of fine make, and it seemed like he'd even run a comb through his short hair. Not that short. I mean, I guess it is short, but it's just not as short as mine.
I've seen short hair.
I've seen short hair. He watched her every step across the room, like a dingo watches a human baby.
Nice, Kale.
His face unreadable. At last, she stopped in front of him, the cold air from the open doors biting into her face. Why are the doors open? That's so sad. You're cooling the whole palace. She hadn't gone for their run this morning, and he hadn't come to drag her outside. "Happy birthday," she said, before he could object to her clothes. His eyes rose to her face, and he gave her a half-smile, that unreadable, closed-off expression vanishing. "Do I even want to know where you're taking me? Do I even want to know where you're taking me?" Sorry, I did a bit more of a Dorian voice. I had to do Kale's voice. Vaguely. She grinned at him, her nerves melting away. "Somewhere utterly inappropriate for the captain of the guard to be seen." She inclined her head.
House. Utterly inappropriate?
Utterly inappropriate.
Is she taking him to a dairy farm?
Yeah.
Dairy Farmers United, they have that here?
Yeah.
Damn. Ohio and
Dairy
Otterland.
Farmers of Adderland. Yeah.
DAOF.
Adderland. Dairy Farmers.
Oh, that was a dyslexia, so I said DAOF instead of DFOA.
Dairy Farmers of Adderland. She inclined her head towards the carriage that was waiting outside the castle doors. Good. She threatened to flay the driver and footman alive if they were late. She just threatens brutality at the slightest inconvenience. At the hint of the slightest inconvenience.
On the possibility, I'm sure that's how the you are what you were raised as. I'm sure that happened in the Assassin's Keep all the time. Because the true showing of power is just an overabundance of, I'll just rip you a new one whenever they don't say they'll do what they want before you ask them. So classy.
So classy. Shall we? As they rode through the city, sitting on opposite sides of the carriage, they talked about anything but last night. Imdash, the carnival, Fleetfoot, Holland's daily tantrums. They even debated whether spring would start showing itself at last. When they reached the building, Imdash, an old apothecary, Kale raised his brows. Just wait, she said. I told you this was no place. It's a whorehouse, she said, and led him into the warmly lit shop. The owner smiled at her, beckoning them like an old hag. Beckoning them up the narrow stone staircase.
It's Yellow Legs.
Oh no, she gotcha. Kale said nothing as they walked up and up the stairs, past the second level and the third, until they reached the door at the uppermost landing. The landing was small enough that he brushed against the skirts of her gown in a sensual manner. I made up the sensual manner.
I figured so.
I'm trying to make the tone more obvious when I'm making things up. And when she turned to him, one hand on the doorknob, she gave him a small smile. It might not be an Asturian stallion, but... ellipsis. She opened the door, stepping aside so he could enter. Wordlessly, he walked in. She'd spent hours arranging everything, and in the daylight it had looked lovely. But at night, ellipsis, it was exactly as she'd imagined it would be.
But at night it looked like shite.
The roof of the apothecary was an enclosed glass greenhouse filled with flowers and potted plants and fruit trees that had been hung with little glittering lights. Are these all candles? Hung normally makes me think like they're all connected on a wire, but perhaps they're all individual lamps. Tiny lamps.
They had to be here really on time because those candles do not last long.
No, they do not. The whole place had been transformed into a garden out of an ancient legend. The air was warm and sweet, and by the windows, overlooking the expanse of the Avery River, stood a small table set for two. I would have been shocked if you said 3. I would have loved to know who was joining. Archer, perhaps?
Yeah.
Not quite the same price.
She knows what Kale's into. That's all I can say. Also, it would have been lovely if we had some kind of clue of what Kale was into so that we could be like, wow, this really is a sweet gesture. He loves mystical forests.
I think he's going to hate this.
I don't think so. I think he'll be thrilled. And of course, I think it would have made her dress show seem more nice if we knew what he was kind of already into. And then it was like, wow, she did all this thing from that chapter he mentioned, how he loves fairy gardens.
Yeah.
Again, well, I can't say again because I doubt this is really relevant. But it's just reminding me of all the things I could say in this book where it's like they don't get mentioned until they are immediately relevant.
Kale surveyed the room, turning in place. It's the Fey Woman's Garden, Imdash, from Irena Goldsmith's song, he said softly. His golden eyes were bright.
And also, she had been planning this for weeks. Rhea Goldsmith came here like 4 days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's a popular song. We'll see what he has to say.
That's some mighty fine coincidence.
Man, all I can say is book club is so lucky that I don't have what it takes to keep track of every single thing I think is objectionable.
Yeah. She swallowed hard. I know it's not much. Imdash.
What do you mean this isn't much? You spent hours doing it. It looks gorgeous.
She clearly has self-esteem issues. Outside of believing she is the best assassin.
She's fishing for compliments.
So true. No one has ever done anything like this for me. He shook his head in awe, looking back at the greenhouse. No one. It's just a dinner, she said, rubbing her neck and walking to the table, if only because the urge to go to him was so strong that she needed a table between them. He followed her an instant later. Oh, he followed her, and an instant later, 2 servants appeared to pull out their chairs for them. She smiled a little as Keal's hand shot to his sword, but upon seeing that they were not being ambushed, he gave her a sheepish glance and sat down.
Man, this guy needs to know how to unwind.
He does.
Needs some weed. Oh, he needs some weed.
Well, they're at an apothecary.
Oh, my goodness.
The servants poured 2 glasses of sparkling wine. As in, like, it has sparkles in it, or it was carbonated?
I'm sure like champagne, but, you know, champagne comes from champagne, so it's sparkling wine.
Then bustled off for the food that they'd spent all day preparing in the apothecary's kitchen. I'd be concerned. She'd managed to hire the cook from the Willows for the night, for a fee that had made her consider punching the woman's throat. Again, like, this... I really don't like how so many characters just, like, think about violence, and they're like, oh, yeah, I can just be violent to get my way. I won't be, but I could be.
I'm thinking about it.
I don't think it's actually normal for that many people in close proximity, unless they've sought each other out because of this same problem, to all be like, oh, yeah, violence. But also, killing is evil and the most terrible thing and the most terrible person in the world. I'm so tormented. Which, again, hasn't come up. As you suggested, Keal's torment over killing that guy barely comes up. Other than at the beginning when he's, like, so tormented still.
Disappointed but not surprised.
Yeah. It was worth it, though. She lifted her flute of wine. Many happy returns, she said. She'd had a little speech prepared, but now that they were here, now that his eyes were so bright and he was looking at her the way he had last night, all the words went right out of her head. Keal lifted his glass and drank. Before I forget to say it, thank you. This is... He examined the glittering greenhouse again, then looked over at the river beyond the glass walls. This is... He shook his head once more, setting down his glass, and she caught a glimmer of silver in his eyes that made her heart clench.
Man, he got the
silver
magic
in his golden
him.
eyes? He blinked it away and... Oh, apparently a tear. He's shedding a tear. Maybe he should go to therapy. He blinked it away and looked back at her with a small smile. Not saying that crying is bad, but, like, if this is what it takes to make him cry... Because he's like, I'm so touched. Like, maybe he should unpack some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because he probably hasn't
not
been
therapy
cared
in
enough.
the derogatory way.
No, like, I think he's got stuff to unpack.
Yeah.
No one has ever thrown me a birthday party since I was a child. She scoffed, fighting past the tightness in her chest. I hardly call it a party, M-dash.
Damn it, can't you just say, you're welcome, Keal. I'm glad you like it. I care for you a lot, and I wanted to do this for you.
Since when has any part of their friendship made you think she can say that?
Yeah, well...
Stop trying to downplay it. It's the greatest gift I've been given in a long while. She crossed her arms, leaned back in her chair as the servants arrived, bringing their first course, roast boar stew.
That's your first
I better
course?
hope it's cooked well. They're gonna get tapeworms.
Man, let's just say boar all infested.
Dorian got you an Asterian stallion.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, but I already like my horse.
Yeah, I already had a horse I like. What am I supposed to do with this? Get kicked? Get mugged?
Get robbed?
Keal was staring down at his soup, brows high. But Dorian doesn't know what my favorite stew is, does he? He glanced up at her, and she bit her lip. How long have you been paying attention? She became very interested in her stew. Don't flatter yourself. I just bullied the castle's head cook to tell me what your favorite dishes were. Why would the head cook know that? Head cook is busy supervising undercooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, you should be bullying
with all the soups.
You should be bullying the undercook.
You should be bullying whichever servants are in the hall, seeing what he picks.
Yeah.
As we know from Downton Abbey, the cook staff does not come upstairs all that often. He snorted. You might be Aderlan's assassin, but you couldn't bully Megra. If you tried, I think you'd be sitting there with 2 black eyes and a broken nose. She smiled, taking a bite of stew.
Never mind, I'm not going to say that. Let's just say Negra came from another life. They were a WWE fighter.
Whoa!
They got kicked out because they didn't... They weren't playing around.
Oh.
They were here to win.
Negra this neck.
What is their name?
Megra.
Megra.
Meg. Hra.
Megra.
It's got an H in it.
Megra.
Negra.
Ba-da-ba-da-bum,
If it
ba-da-bum,
were
Megra.
a Tolkien word, if this was the Silmarillion, I would say it's Megra.
You would always say it like that if it was this one.
Megra. 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 Anyways. Broken nose. She smiled, took a bite of her stew. Well, you might think you're mysterious and brooding and stealthy, Captain, but once you know where to look, you're a fairly easy book to read. Every time we have roast boar stew, I can barely get a spoonful before you've eaten the whole tureen.
Towen?
Tureen.
Towen?
Tureen. If he tried to eat the whole tureen, he would choke. He tipped his head back and laughed, and the sound sent heat coursing through every part of her. And here I was thinking I'd managed to hide my weakness so well. She gave him a wicked grin. Just wait until you see the other courses. They involve her taking off her clothes.
I hope not.
I sure hope not.
I don't think I'd be into that.
Would not. Oh, finally.
Now, if they serve Archer up... Archer's in the cake.
Archer's in the cake. She's also not paying for him because she said, I'd kill you if you wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. He's like,
he's leaving tomorrow.
He's leaving. He's like, oh, thank goodness I didn't leave this morning.
When they'd eaten the last crumb of chocolate hazelnut cake, so glad he wasn't allergic, and drank the last of the sparkling wine, and when the servants had cleared everything away and bid them farewells, Selena found herself standing on the small balcony at the far end of the roof, the summer plants buried under a blanket of snow. That sentence was 4.5 lines long.
Man. The grind.
Like, there's nothing wrong with long sentences, but that definitely could have been multiple sentences. She held her cloak close to her as she stared down toward the distant spot where the Avery met the ocean. So they're not right on the ocean, so they are using the river as their sewer.
Yeah, but the river's going to the ocean.
Yeah, but it's their sewer. Kale beside so nasty.
Only
Kale beside her, leaning against the iron railing. There's a hint of spring in the air, he said as a mild wind whipped past them. Thank the gods, any more snow and I'd go mad. In the glow of the lights from the greenhouse, his profile was illuminated. She'd meant the dinner to be a nice surprise, M-dash, a way to tell him how much she appreciated him, M-dash, but his reaction? Ellipsis. How long had it been since he felt cherished? Apart from that girl who had treated him so foully, there was also the matter of the family that had shunned him just because he wanted to be a guard for the gay little prince. No, they
shunned him because he was gay.
And they were too proud to have a son serve the crown in that manner. I don't know. It seems like maybe he should have gone for, like, if you want to serve the crown, maybe he should have gone for, like, a valet of the prince. Because I feel like the valet to the prince, very high up.
Oh, yeah.
You know? You're the prince's valet. Just saying.
But he's still just a valet if that were the case. Yes, but
but the valet to the prince has to be, like, a lord.
But he is a valet every day.
Every day. He sees the prince undress.
He undresses the prince.
He undresses the prince. He does his bidding. Just saying. Just saying, he should have gone for that instead of for the captain of the guard, buddy of the prince. How long has it been since she felt cherished? He was shunned, wanted to serve the crown in that matter. Did his parents have any idea that in the entire castle, in the entire kingdom, there was no one more noble and loyal than him? He wasn't very loyal to his family. That the boy they'd thrown out of their lives had become the sort of man that kings and queens could only dream of having serve in their courts. The sort of man...
Yeah, because he's so incompetent.
Huh.
They dream of someone like him and they're like, oh, thank goodness that's not me.
The sort of man she hadn't believed existed. Not after Sam. Okay, granted, after Sam, she, got caught, right away, right? That's when she goes to Indovir, so it's been a year. I don't think she's meeting very, reasonable candidates of people who are, prepared for that sort of, a relationship in Indovir. They all die in a month.
Mm-hmm.
On average.
On average.
Mm-hmm. Not after Sam. Not after everything that had happened. The king had threatened to kill Kael if she disobeyed his orders, and considering how much danger she was putting him in right now, and how much she wanted to gain Imdash,
Man, is she
not
going
just
to?
for
Is
herself,
she going
but
to?
for them.
Is she going to be like, I can't be friends with you anymore, Kael?
Ellipsis.
I bet she is.
I have to tell you something, she said. Her blood roared through her ears, especially as he turned to see her with a smile. And before I tell you, you have to promise not to go berserk. The smile faded. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? Just promise. She clenched the railing, the cold metal biting into her bare hands. He studied her carefully, then said, I'll try. Not very promising. Should be pretty easy to say, yeah, I won't go berserk. That's easy. I won't go berserk.
Selena, the bar is low. Yeah, I won't go berserk.
Yeah.
I'll go sicko mode. I'll get on X Games mode.
Fair enough. Like a damned coward, she turned away from him, focusing on the distant ocean instead. I haven't killed any of the people the king commanded me to assassinate. Silence. She didn't dare look at him. I've been faking their deaths and smuggling them out of their homes. Their personal effects are given to me after I approach them with my offer, and the body parts come from sick houses. The only person I've actually killed so far is Davis, and he wasn't even an official target.
He killed that wife!
We'll definitely go check right when I finish this chapter. Please let me finish.
Okay.
It was Davis, and he wasn't even an official target. At the end of the month, once Archer has gotten his affairs in order, I'll fake his death. And
Yeah,
Archer
fuck Archer over, why don't you, by telling Kael.
Yeah.
Archer's already gone, bitch!
He's already gone. And Archer will get on the next ship out of Rifthold and sail away. Well, now he won't. Her chest was so tight it hurt, and she slid her eyes to him. Kael's face was bone white. He backed away, shaking his head. You've gone mad. Okay, I think our conclusion for this chapter will actually just be us trying to go back and verify. Oh, my bookmark is so wrinkled.
You sat on
I
it!
sat on it. And verify what happened to that lady friend of ours.
And besides, all bookmark.
Well, I'm reading. It's my bookmark.
I can't believe that you don't believe me that she killed her. She killed her 100% because it was the only way to get her to stop screaming.
I believe you, but can Maas be this wrong? Or why would Selena lie to this to Kael?
And Nehemia.
Well, I mean, Nehemia, she's maybe trying to manipulate her, but that doesn't really seem like what she's doing here.
Because I think Maas doesn't fucking remember.
Yes, we're going to find it out now.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and pause, because it's going to take a while, most likely, and we'll be back. Okay, and we're back. We are on page 13, last paragraph, for those of you who...
Chapter what?
Oh, page 13! Oh, I guess there's people who aren't
And
using pages.
Different book
editions, maybe. Okay.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Wow, I did read it. And I completely forgot. I was entirely wrong. Anyways, Chapter 2, near the end, it's the last section of Chapter 2, near the beginning of the last section, for those of you not in this book. And Kael hadn't once doubted her story as he inquired about her mission. She couldn't quite decide if that made her feel smug, disappointed, or outright guilty. But the lies had rolled off her tongue. Nural awoke right before she killed him. She had to slit his wife's throat to keep her from screaming, and the fight was a tad messier than she would have liked. So yep, there it is. She killed Nural's wife.
Twice now she has said that she's only, to Nehemia she only admitted that she killed Davis. Mm-hmm. To Kael she has said the only person she killed is Davis.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree to you. It does appear that Maas straight up forgot.
Oh, Selena's lying, but why would she be lying about this thing specifically?
Yeah.
She could be like, yeah, I didn't kill... I mean, maybe she, in retrospect, is like, oh, it doesn't look that good on me that I should slit his wife's throat but spare him, so I'm just going to keep that on the DL.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is infuriating.
OMG. OMG. You get to read the sentence that says the blank obliterated her. Anyway, so there's your takeaway from this chapter. Not even this chapter.
Beth, Tia, Selena has been obliterated. Hallelujah! Woo! That's what I was waiting for! Anyways, so...
That's the takeaway from this chapter. Man straight up forgot about...
Potentially.
There's unclear reasons for why Selena keeps lying, not telling the truth, isn't admitting to killing Narwhal's wife, because she very much did. I feel like that's all the takeaway we need. Anything from you?
Nope.
All right. Toodles, everyone.